Next part of our program is Sunday Feast Lecture. Today's class will be given by His Grace Radha Damodar Prabhu. He is very familiar to our congregation. He does not need any introduction, but our purification telling few words. Prabhu is actively participating in many temple services, such as telecasting online audio and the video of the temple programs. In the early morning, Prabhu conducts Japa conference every day at 5:30 a.m. and various other services. Above all, Prabhu is very kind and sincere devotee and inspiring others. Thank you, Prabhu. With that, we are welcoming Radha Damodar Prabhu with loudly chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra once.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Over to you, Radha Damodar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you all hear me?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So, thank you for the introduction, Prabhuji. Thank you for your kind introduction. I will share my screen now. Okay. Hope you all can see it clear there.
Yes, Prabhu.
First of all, I would like to thank Satyasara Prabhu, Jai Subhadra Mataji, and all the devotees for giving me this opportunity for giving this presentation on Bhagavad Gita on this Sunday feast lecture. I'm not qualified to speak on these topics, but I will try my level best to purify myself with the blessing of my Guru Maharaj and by Krishna. So I'll try to make it as interactive as possible. So just be ready. To even talk to over the phone. Okay. So today we'll talk from the verse in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse number 16. Verse given to me. So before we start the Bhagavad Gita session, we all want to be in the mood of listening to this Bhagavad Gita, right? So there is a nice prayer we have to sing, which will take us back to the Vrindavan, right? So let's all go to Vrindavan by singing the song. So it's I'm going to sing and you can sing along, okay? It's a call and response. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha
Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Rama 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 Hare
Okay. All right. So before we start the class, we need to get the blessing of all our Guru Vargas. So we'll pray to all the Guru Vargas. So I just pray. You can listen. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmitannena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Vandeham Sri Gurum Sri Yudapada Kamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Rekutata Vidam Sam Sajivam Swadvaivam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pratan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vidamcha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namastude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasta Kripa Sindhuve Evacha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Budale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Idnamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaura Vani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So Hare Krishna devotees, I'm going to. So today's verses are going to be from Bhagavad Gita chapter 8, verse number 16. So I'm going to pray. After the prayer, I'm going to say the words. You can call in response. You can do that. Okay. From Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Brahma Bhuvana Loka.
Brahma Bhuvana Loka.
Punaravartino Arjuna.
Punaravartino Arjuna.
Mamupetya tu Kaundeya.
Mamupetya tu Kaundeya.
Punarjanmana Vidyate.
Punarjanmana Vidyate.
Brahma Bhuvana Loka.
Brahma Bhuvana Loka.
Punaravartino Arjuna.
Punaravartino Arjuna.
Mamupetya tu Kaundeya.
Mamupetya tu Kaundeya.
Punarjanmana Vidyate.
Punarjanmana Vidyate.
Brahma Bhuvana Loka.
Brahma Bhuvana Loka.
Punaravartino Arjuna.
Punaravartino Arjuna.
Mamupetya tu Kaundeya.
Mamupetya tu Kaundeya.
Punarjanmana vidyate.
Punarjanmana vidyate.
So Hare Krishna devotees, can few devotees sing verse?
Brahma Bhuvana Loka
Brahma Bhuvana Loka
Punar Avartino Arjuna
Punaravartino Arjuna
Mam Upetya Tu Kunteya
Mamupetya tu Kaunteya
Punarjanmana Vidyate.
Punarjanmana Vidyate.
Prabhu, can I go?
Yes, Mother.
Brahma Bhuvana Loka
Brahma Bhuvana Loka.
Punar Avartino Arjuna
Punaravartino Arjuna.
Mamupetya tu Kaunteya
Mamupetya tu
Tu
Kaunteya.
Kaunteya.
Janmana Vidyate.
Punarjanmana vidyate.
Thank you, Prabhu.
I can go, Prabhu. Next.
Go ahead, Prabhu.
Brahma Bhuvana Loka
Brahma Bhuvana Loka
Punar Avartino Arjuna Mamupetya tu Kaunteya
Mamupetya tu Kaunteya.
Punarjanmana Vidyate.
Punarjanmana vidyate.
Can I go?
One more person, please.
Brahma Bhuvana Loka
Brahma Bhuvana
Loka
Naravartino Arjuna
Punaravartino Arjuna.
Mamupetya Tu Kaunteya
Mamupetya tu Kaunteya.
Punarjanmana Vidyate.
Punarjanmana vidyate.
Thank you, devotees. So let me read the synonyms. Brahma Bhuvanat, up to the Brahma Loka planet. Lokaha, the planetary system. Punaha, again. Avartinaha, returning. Arjuna, O Arjuna. Ma, unto me. Upetya, arriving. Tu, but. Kaunteya, O son of Kunti. Puna Janma, rebirth. Na, never. Vidyate, takes place. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Translation. From the highest planet in this material world down to the lowest, all places are of misery, wherein repeated birth and death takes place. But one who attains my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Once again, from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all the places are of misery, wherein repeated birth and death takes place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So the next is the purport. Any volunteers for reading this purport, please?
Yes, sir. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Is given by C.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada ki Jai. All kinds of yogis, karma, jnana, hatha, etc., eventually have to attain devotional perfection in Bhakti Yoga or Krishna consciousness before they can go to Krishna's transcendental abode and never return. Those who attain the highest material planets, the planets of the demigods, are again subjected to repeated birth and death. As persons on earth are elevated to higher planets, people on higher planets such as Brahmaloka, Chandraloka and Indraloka fall down to earth. The practice of sacrifice called Panchagni Vidya, recommended in the Chandognya Upanishad, enables one to achieve Brahmaloka. But if on Brahmaloka one does not cultivate Krishna consciousness, then he must return to earth. Those who progress in Krishna consciousness on the higher planets are gradually elevated to higher and higher planets, and at the time of universal devastation are transferred to the eternal spiritual kingdom. Baladeva Vidyabhushana, in his commentary on Bhagavad Gita, quote this verse: Brahmana sahate sarve samprapte kriti sanchare parasyante kritatmanaha pravishyanti parampadam. When there is devastation of this material universe, Brahma and his devotees, who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness, are all transferred to the spiritual universe and to specific spiritual planets according to their desires. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Hare Bol. So we will get started. So the structure in which I have arranged today's class is that we'll first discuss some background of the 8th chapter. Then I will go a little understanding about this verse 8.16. Then we will talk about the planetary systems within our universe. Then we'll discuss the transmigration of the soul, and then the gross and subtle bodies. And I will summarize everything. Okay. So I'll try to make a little interactive. So please pay attention to this one. So can you all hear me properly?
Yes,
Somebody was saying you cannot hear.
In the temple, we can hear too.
Okay.
People on call.
Okay.
The voice looks okay, Prabhu. I mean, I'm on the bridge, but yeah, looking okay.
Okay. All right. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. So now I haven't prepared a lot of slides for this, but let me go over the details now. So the background of the 8th chapter is like this. So we are this 8th chapter is entitled "Attaining the Supreme." That means how to join, how to get to Krishna. That's the chapter talking about how we can achieve Krishna. So that can be achieved. So the 8th chapter starts by Arjuna asking various questions. Actually, very important terminologies Krishna is asking, Arjuna is asking. So Adi, Adhyatma, what is Brahman means, and what is Adhyatma? Adhyatma means self. Then what is fruitive activities? Means karma. What is karma? And what is material manifestation? That is Abhibhudam. And what is Adi Deva? What is who are demigods? What is Adi Yajna? What are sacrifices? And how does one live in this body? How can one engage in devotional services? These are the questions Arjuna is asking. These are the questions we also have, right? So Arjuna is representing us in trying to understand these terminologies and its meaning and how it is related to us, right? So let's see. So we all know what is Brahman. Brahman has different meanings in different context, right? So Brahman in general, it means the Supreme Lord. Okay. Brahman also can mean the Brahma Jyoti. Brahman also can mean the Atma, the self. Okay. So under different context, it has different meanings, but in general, Brahman means the Supreme Lord. Okay. And under what context, what it means depends on, can be explained by our acharyas. It needs some high level of realization to understand the context. So that's why we read the Bhagavad Gita as it is by Srila Prabhupada, so that we read the purport so that we understand the correct context and correct meaning, right? And then what is Adhyatma, which means the self, ourself, and we are, first of all, we are not this body, right? We are this spirit soul, and we had to understand that concept very, very well. And this material body is just a covering on top of ourself, right? So and there is something called karma. So can somebody explain what is a karma is? In 1 or 2 words?
Prabhuji, is it the reactions from
Yes.
the previous janmas, previous life? All the reactions together, or whether it is good or bad, it's all entitled as karma.
That's correct. So basically, karma is the any activities that will have a reaction, right? We are all we are all always doing some actions. We cannot sit quiet. We are either breathing, we are doing something, we are thinking. So many things are happening in us, right? We are always in action, and all these actions have a equal and opposite reaction, equal reaction to it. And these reactions can happen in this birth or in the coming from a next birth as well. And our reactions could be coming from the previous birth also, as you mentioned, Prabhuji. So and recently we heard I heard a lecture from what is that, Radha Prabhu. Radha Prabhu was giving an analogy of not analogy. So there is some slow reaction and immediate reaction and very late reactions. So these are various possible. It's like one example Prabhu showed was an elephant. A kid is teasing an elephant. Okay. So the elephant immediately reacts by showing anger to him. So that is immediate reaction. And another occasion is the elephant shows his reaction after quite some time. So when it becomes, elephant also grows up and the child also grows up. When he meets him some point of time, he reacts to that person. So that's a slow reaction, meaning the reaction is happening after some time. But many of the reactions that are happening are from our past life. So we did something to somebody, say we killed a person, or say an ant or something, and that ant has to kill us back, right? So when we are in a different form, we get killed by that same living entity. So that's called karma, right? Then we have demigods. Okay, that is Adi Deva. Demigods are basically they are the ones, Devadas. They are called Devadas. Are the ones who are helping the Supreme Lord to manage the whole material affairs, right? So we are everything is being provided to us by the demigods on behalf of the Supreme Lord, right? And everybody is serving the Supreme Lord. Our duty is also to serve the Supreme Lord, because we are eternal servants of, we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and we are eternal servants of the Supreme Lord, right? And we the next terminology was Adi Yajna. Adi Yajna means we are supposed to do sacrifice. Yajna means sacrifice. Sacrifice is for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. And why sacrifice? Because that's how we please the Supreme Lord. When we please Supreme Lord, our duty is to please, serve and please Supreme Lord in a loving way. When we do that, we get the right knowledge, we will be able to go back to Krishna. That is the whole idea, right? And we want to go back in this lifetime itself. This material world is full of misery, and we want to get out of this place as soon as possible. That's our objective. Then Krishna says, okay, as this subject, this chapter is about how to attain Supreme. How do we attain Supreme? So Krishna says, whoever at the end of life quits his body, remembering me alone, can at once attain my nature. Okay, so that's the important part of this chapter. So if we want to go back to Krishna, we just have to remember Krishna at the end of life. Okay, all right, that sounds very easy, right? But it's not that easy unless we, how do we remember Krishna at the end of the life? Okay, we have to practice. We have to practice remembering. It's like, if you had to do anything, we had to practice. If you want to do driving, we have to practice. And we have to practice so that when we go on to the real driving, we will not make mistakes. So same way, when it comes to the testing time, at the time of death, we need to remember Krishna, then we can go back to Krishna. And that's the main theme of our discussion today. And if you remember something else at the time of death, then we remember our consciousness at that time of death determines our next life. So if you don't remember Krishna, that's okay, but we have to, based on our desire and the consciousness, we have to forcefully accept a new material body. That's called transmigration. At the end of death, we may become an animal, we may become aquatic, we may become a bird, we may become a beast, we can take another human being, birth of us a human being, we can become anything else. So all the 4.8 million types of material bodies we can take, right? So we got to be careful what we want in the next way. So we at this present moment, we are building our next body, right? So we have to understand that. And Krishna says, one who meditates upon me, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from this path of Krishna consciousness, is surely going to continue. Krishna is guaranteeing us. So we have to believe that statement. We need to work towards that statement, right? Then Krishna explains various types of methods by which you can start remembering. There are yogic processes like Ashtanga Yoga and other methods to remember Krishna. But Krishna also says elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita that the best way to remember Krishna is by practicing Bhakti Yoga. So how do we practice Bhakti Yoga? Can somebody tell me how to practice Bhakti Yoga in few simple terms?
Chanting.
Okay. What else?
I mean, so there are 9 stages of Bhakti Yoga, right? Is that Prabhu? You're asking like Sravanam, Kirtanam,
Yes.
Vandanam, Padasevanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. There are various processes by which we can attain, do practice Bhakti Yoga. But the most important one is Sravanam and Kirtanam. Okay. So that's why we are chanting in our temple and everywhere. So the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So when we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, our hearts get purified and purified and purified. Then we will be able to get the real knowledge. So, and we will be able to come out of this material world. Okay. So that is kind of the summary for the, also, there is the 15th and 16th verse are talking about the pure devotional service aspect of it. So Krishna is saying, one who always remembers me without deviation, I am very easy to obtain. See, that's very promising. So if we, all that we had to do is to keep remembering Krishna throughout our day, or whenever we are doing some activity, we just need to remember Krishna. Whatever we are doing is for Krishna. Right now, all of you are remembering Krishna by participating in this class, right? We are hearing the message of Krishna. That is remembering Krishna. And whenever we do our work, we remember that we are just doing this work for Krishna. And whenever we eat something or we drink something, this we just think about this water is coming from Krishna. And when we see sunlight, we just remember these are energies of Krishna. Okay, so if we remember in that way every activity, and then we are automatically remembering Krishna. By constant engagement like that, we will be able to attain Krishna very easily. And now on to the 16th verse, which is our verse for today. Our verse says that Brahma Bhuvana Loga, meaning from the Brahma Loga to the Patal Loga, the entire material world, everywhere is full of miseries. Okay, so we in this place, what is material misery? Can somebody explain what is material miseries? What? So typically, what are our problems? We have problems. Okay, I'm not able to get a job. I'm not able to find a, buy a new thing, a new car. Not able to buy those things. I have a lot of trouble with my spouse, my family members, my friends. All these are the kinds of typical problems that we see, right? But that's not the real problem. The real problem is, can somebody explain what's the real misery of this material world?
There's for birth, disease,
Wonderful. Thank you. So, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Janma means birth, Mrityu means death, Jara means old age, Vyadhi means disease. So these are the real problems which scientists are trying to solve for years, right? All the scientists are doing is to extend our life. How can we prolong our life? Meaning we are actually prolonging our sufferings, right? We think that we are enjoying. Of course, there are some minute enjoyment is there. But that is like, there is a saying that, okay, if your head is put into the water and dipped into water and take you out for a moment, you feel, oh, you have achieved greatest thing, right? And again, you are put it back into the water, then you are again suffering. So that taking out for a few moments is our enjoyment and happiness that we have. But that is very momentary, very temporary. The kind of happiness that we are having is very temporary. We want permanent, eternal happiness. The eternal happiness can be achieved only when we go back to Krishna, the Krishna Loga, right? So devotees have the choice. Do you want to go back to Krishna and permanently happy? Or do you want to continue this suffering and this imaginary happiness? We are thinking that we are happy. So we have this choice. And we have to be serious about it. Because it's like this. When we tell a child, if you touch the fire, it's going to burn your hand. But the child won't understand that unless he experiences it. So he goes again, tries to touch the fire. When he touches the fire, he gets a little burning. Then he knows, okay, he will never touch again, right? Same way, we need to understand that this material world is full of suffering. Once we really understand, once we realize it, then we don't want to come back here. We don't want this material world. We want to go back to Krishna. So that should be our aim. And how we can go back to Krishna? Very easily, very simple process. It's by practicing Bhakti Yoga. And we just discussed how to practice Bhakti Yoga. Now, there is also a statement here. This says, so you can go back to Krishna. If you don't want to go back, you can if you go back to the heavenly planets, also it is not permanent there, because whatever karma, punya means the pious activities you are doing. Once it gets exhausted, you have to come back to the material world again. Okay, you had to come to the earthly world. Now, this gives me the idea that I need to discuss a little bit about the various planetary systems, a little bit, to understand this material world that is talking about here. So let me share the screen again a little bit. Okay, I hope you all can see the screen. Okay, may not be very readable, but I can explain this a little bit. So this is our universe, one universe we are in. Okay, this pictorial diagram that shows. Here you can see Mahavishnu laying here in the Karana, in the causal ocean, the Karana ocean. And from Mahavishnu's breathing, from the his skin, pores of his skin, he various planets are emanating, universes are emanating, and these you can see various planets here is coming out of his breathing. And one such universe we are expanding to show how it looks like, right? So we are in such an expansion. So after the one universe comes out of his thing, Mahavishnu glances that, and he impregnates the whole material universe, okay, with jivas. And Mahavishnu himself enters into this, into that each universe. He expands and he comes as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. He is laying down in the Garbhodakshaya ocean. Okay, he's laying there, and from his navel, a lotus flower comes up. Okay, a lotus flower comes up from his navel, and in that, then he creates from that navel, from that lotus flower, Lord Brahma is created. He is the first created being in this universe. Then Krishna gives the knowledge to Lord Brahma how to create the rest of the universe, rest of the planets and all the living entities, how to populate. All the knowledge is given to him. And various planetary systems are created afterwards. So there is 14 planets on this, you can see here. This the first part, top part, is called the upper planets or higher planetary systems, and this the bottom planet is called the lower planetary system, called the Patala Loka. This is the heavenly planets. This is the hellish planets, and in the between is that where we are. It's called Bhuvarloka, the earthly planet. Bhuvarloka, sorry. This middle planetary system is where we live, we are residing. And this upper planetary system is full of pleasure, okay? And lower planetary system is full of suffering, right? And but we are in between. We get both sometimes pleasure, sometimes suffering, right? But whether we are, but this is the whole material world. Whether we are in this, and this is also known as Triloka. Triloka means three world. This is the one world, and this is the other world. This is the third world. So Triloka means whether in any of this material world place, we are in the suffering state. But we and in this place, whenever we have good karma, we can go to higher planetary system. That was what was mentioned in our purport by Srila Prabhupada. When we go to higher planetary systems, we can enjoy there. We can, by the mercy of Krishna, if you practice Krishna consciousness, we can actually go back to Krishna by at the end of this universe. this universe has a limited time frame. It has 100 years of Brahma's life, right? After 100 years of Brahma's life, the universe is going to get dismantled. And when that happens, we all go back to Mahavishnu's body back again, right? So this is a very nice pictorial diagram that explains our universe. I cannot go in detail of this one because it's a huge topic. And if you are interested actually to know a lot more about this one, there's Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto. It talks about even a lot more detail about the whole entire cosmology itself. And this is just a portion of it. And this is a nice picture to have, everybody to have. So in fact, we have in our temple this poster of this poster which I am showing here. If you are interested, you can talk to Satyarupa Gauranga Prabhu or Yesubdra Mataji. You might be able to get this picture. It's a nice poster to have in your home. All right, so let me move on. Oh, sorry. So I'm going to stop sharing now. So now I'll talk about the transmigration of the souls. Okay, and so as we discussed earlier, we are actually after the biggest question normally comes is what happens after the death, right? So we are actually having this body. We are not this soul. We are not this body. We are the soul. We have this covering of this body. And whenever we die, meaning whenever at our end of the life, we are not dying. Just this body becomes, dead matter. And when then our soul has to move on. The soul has to migrate to another place. So another body. So we are forced to take another body. That's called transmigration. So if we are Krishna conscious person, we will be able to go back to Krishna. We get to, instead of taking a material body, we can go back to Krishna. And depending on our mental conditioning, we can choose, we can take appropriate material body. So if you remember, there are a few stories to explain this one. So if you remember the story of Bharat Maharaj from the Bhagavatam, Bharat Maharaj was a very highly elevated devotee. Okay, and he was a great sage. But towards the end of the life, he got acquaintances with a deer. He was very attracted by a deer, and he used to take care of that small baby deer, and the baby deer grew up with him. There is more background to it. I'm just summarizing quickly. So he was always in his mind always he was thinking about this deer. So at the time of death, when he was about to die, he could not think about Krishna. He remembered only this deer. Who will take care of this deer after my death? That was his thinking. Because of that, the deer actually, he took the birth of a deer. His next body he got was a body of a deer. So that's what happens. What is our mental condition at the time of death? So if we think about, instead of thinking about something else, like typically most people, we think about our family members, right? We remember who will take care of my property, who will take care of my business, how will my children survive without me, how will my wife or spouses will survive without me. These are our thoughts typically that comes to us, right? And that's natural. And when we have that thinking, we are definitely going to take, continue our birth based on that. We are forced to take that life. But if we that's why we had to continuously practice Krishna consciousness. Okay, so if we take the case of and there's another good example of that of Ajamil. Ajamil was another devotee at one point of time, but due to his sinful, he got attracted by a low-class prostitute woman, and he got he eventually married her, and he had children from her, and so he became a very sinful person by his acquaintances with her, and he totally gave up his Krishna consciousness. But only one good thing he did. His youngest child's name was named Narayana. So when he and he became, by the time he was already old man, and he used to always remember this Narayana because he was a very fascinating boy, and he would always call Narayana, always think about Narayana, and he was just at the time of death. He just remembered this child, and he called his name Narayana. Just because of that, Vishnu Dudas came, and he was so sinful that the Yama Dudas came to pick him up too. But just because he remembered the word Narayana, he remembered Narayana, the Vishnu Dudas came and they said, you cannot take him. And he was given another chance to continue to practice Krishna consciousness. So so that is the power of remembering Krishna at the end of life, right? So we all should remember the story of Ajamil, how powerful remembering Krishna is. So by constantly practicing Krishna consciousness, constantly chanting, we will be able to remember Krishna at the end of the life, right? So now let's talk a little bit more about this one. So this living entity, we have both gross body and material body. So we said, we have this, we are not this body, but we have something called a gross body. That's what we see. And we have a subtle body as well. And the subtle bodies actually contains mind, intelligence, and ego. These three constitutes of our subtle body. And actually, we are enjoying this. All our enjoyments are through this subtle body, and we are experiencing through our senses, right? And our modern scientists cannot understand the subtle body because they cannot see this very clearly. They all try to come up with their own theories. Like Darwin comes up with his own theories, but he's not able to explain this subtle body, how it works, right? But our Bhagavatam our Shastras very clearly explains how the whole subtle body works. And so one may change, we may change our gross body, but we are not going to change our subtle body. So what happens is when we do a transmigration of our bodies, our subtle body carries our soul to the next body. Okay. Now, when our subtle body carries our next bodies, we in the current birth, current life, we have got a lot of impressions created, right? Our consciousness at the time of death, all those details are still there with the subtle body. So that is why we are able to, when we take a next birth, we are able to take a material body accordingly, because our desires are still there, our impressions are still there in the subtle body. the mind carries everything. And because the impressions are still in our mind, our desires are still not fulfilled. Krishna gives us an appropriate body in the next life, right? Krishna gives you a body that is suitable to make you happy, because we all are here because we wanted to enjoy separately from Krishna. And when we wanted to enjoy separately from Krishna, Krishna is trying to desire. And our desire at the end of life is to, in case of Bharat Maharaj, was to take care of the deer, and he is able to get the body of a deer. Same way, King Puranjana from Bhagavatam story, we can see he was so attached to his wife after his death, he took the body of a female, right? He became a female in the next birth. So that is how the transmigration of the body and the gross body to subtle body works, right? Now, one thing I learned very interesting earlier today was that so this mind is very, very, very interesting character, interesting sense, because say if whatever we have, say if we have an anger, or our mind feels angry, and that is expressed through our senses, right? And the mind may be connected with, if we are expressed through, say, hand, okay, we may be so anger becomes a fighting mode, right? It is connected like that. So mind and our the material, the senses, here the hand is connected. So when our mind feels anger, it is expressed. If it is through a hand, we feel in a fighting mode becomes. And same way, if it is expressed through our leg, we start kicking things, right? The anger will be showing in the form of kicking the bodies. And Srila Prabhupada explains that in the same way, as a devotee, if we continuously chant, and our that mind is absorbed in the chanting, and that is expressed through our body, okay, the body shows the emotions. So the mind is the our facial expression is the reflection of our mind, what it says. So when we are in ecstasy of chanting, our hand automatically goes up, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is the state of devotee. So we can see how our mind and all the subtle bodies are connected with our actions and reactions, right? So that's what something I learned recently. So I thought I'll explain that. So so another thing I just wanted to mention here is about our mental conditions, is about the to understand what is the subtle body versus gross body. Is that great example Srila Prabhupada gives is about the state of dreaming. When we are in the dreaming state, we can see that we are in some other world. We are sleeping. Our gross body is there, but our subtle body is still there. Our subtle body carries to somewhere, right? And that somewhere, maybe we are flying in the air and we are going to another world. How we are able to do those things? And as soon as the dream is over, our subtle body is back in our gross body. We forget about where we went. That is actually what is happening in our transmigration also. We leave this subtle body and we take up a new body. Say in this birth I was born as a Indian, and in next birth I might be born as an American, and I've totally forgot about my past life. Right? In the same way, when because only subtle body knows everything. The gross body totally forgets everything. That's because Krishna is sitting within our heart. Sarvasya chaham aham So he is sitting in our heart and giving us the remembrance as well and forgetfulness. So when we take a new material body, he's giving us the forgetfulness about our past life. So so in this I was discussing about the dreaming state. So that clearly explains how gross body is different from a subtle body, right? That is a very easy way to understand the concept of gross body versus subtle body. And we in the dream state also, we might be flying, things like that. So that flying kind of, because at one point of time we were Devadas, we had the body of a Devadas, we were able to travel within, we were able to fly through various material worlds. So those are the impressions that are coming from our previous lives, right? And as soon as that dream is over, we go back to a gross body. I think I will. So basically, what we learned from today's verse here is, I'm going to summarize it, is that we have to, wherever we are in this material world, we are going to have in a suffering state, and we need to come out of this suffering state by practicing Krishna consciousness. So we just need to, and Krishna is guaranteeing us that if we remember Krishna, we are not going to take birth again. Okay, I'm going to end here. If you have any questions or comments, please take it. Thank you. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripasindhuvaya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. If I made any mistakes, please forgive me. Hare Krishna.
Devotees in the temple hall, if you have any questions, please raise your hand. Please don't compliment. If you have any compliments, you can send through WhatsApp to the Radha Damodar Prabhu. And devotees in online also, if you have any question, please raise your hand. Any questions or comments or reflections you want to share? Yeah. What's your name, Prabhu?
Prabhuji, so I had a quick question about, you said that remembering Krishna at the end of your life would be you would be able to attain back to Godhead, right? But in certain cases, if a person, we are uncertain about our own death. So in case of, for a person goes through an accident or loses life in, suppose, in random accidents, so in that case, he doesn't get time to remember Krishna at that time. So what happens with that soul then?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I believe it's Hemant Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Hemant Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful question. That's a very common question that we all hear, and it's a very wonderful question. And at the time of death, what happens if a person is in coma or in a state where he cannot remember at all? So one good part about Krishna's promise is that if you have been practicing Krishna consciousness, if you had been remembering Krishna throughout your life, Krishna is going to help us at the time of death as well. At the time of Krishna more than us going to Krishna, Krishna wants us back there, right? So if you are sincere devotee, if you have been sincerely practicing Krishna consciousness, Krishna is going to give the knowledge enough to remember you at the time of death. That is Krishna's promise. So even at the time of coma, our subtle body memories are still active. So one of the senses that continues even then working is that hearing. So that's why we say the hearing process is very important. So what scientifically proven is that everyone can still hear. They may not be able to react to it. Okay, so that's why you might see that devotees at the time of death, we all go and chant for the person who is about to leave the body. Because when we chant, he may be in a very painful situation physically, where he cannot respond to our situation. He may not be able to react to us. But one thing that is very active is the hearing process. So when we hear, when we chant Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, that person who is in the deathbed is able to hear that, and his consciousness changes accordingly. He is also going to think about Krishna just by hearing that. So we all have a responsibility as devotees. Whenever somebody is going through that stage, we have to help them go back to Krishna by going and chanting for them. But even if that situation is not possible, Krishna will give the intelligence enough to remind the devotee to remember Krishna. So that is Krishna's magic. Hope that clarifies your questions, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Haribol.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare.
Any other question or comment or reflection? Devotees or an online? Okay, if no other question, we are moving on to next program. Thank you, Radha Damodar Prabhu, for the wonderful lecture.
Thank you.
You more and more. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Please stand up. We are going to have a Kirtan. If any elder persons and if you are unable to sit medically issues, you can stand. If you are unable to stand, you can sit. Chairs are there. Devotees, kindly move forward so that
Giridhari Gopinath Radha Mohana Giridhari Gopinath Radha Mohana Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavad Gita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavad Gita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavad Gita Virupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Virupa Sanatana Bhatta
Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Prabhupada Stostra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Prabhupada Stostra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Anta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki Namachara Shri Haridas Thakur ki Prem Shri Bhava Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Shamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Dham ki Gajabhumi Vrindavan Dham ki Navdev Shri Mayapur Dham ki Shri Kshetram Shri Jagannath Puri Dham ki Jagannath Swami ki Bhakti Devi Tulsi Maharani ki Ganga Mayi Yamuna Mayi ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Harinam Sankirtan ki Prabhupada Transcendental Book Distribution ki Prabhupada Transcendental Prasadam Book Distribution ki Prabhupada Transcendental Cow Protection Yagna ki Gaura Premanande all glorious assembled devotees all glorious assembled devotees all glorious assembled devotees all glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So we are going to do Narsimha Arati. So just
Devotees, can you move forward so that black people can see freely?
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste
Thank you, Purnamati Mataji. That's a wonderful heart-melting Kirtan. Thank you, Sunil Prabhu and Kimberly Mataji for supporting Mataji. And thank you, Sarveshri Mataji for the Pujari service. Today's announcements are, today's Sunday Feast program is sponsored by Gitanshi Mataji and her family. And we had one birthday in the last week, Ram Prabhu. Let us chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times for their benefit. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
And we are 1 month away from Janmashtami. Those who are interested in volunteering for Janmashtami, please contact Veena Mataji and various Janmashtami cultural programs. Sign up messages were sent in the WhatsApp group. Please try to participate and make Janmashtami a grand success. For harmonium and Vaishnava bhajan classes, please.
There's one more sponsor.
Go.
Sarveshwara Madhava Das. And Revati DD.
Okay. Sarveshwara Madhava Das and Revati Mataji sponsored today's Sunday Feast program.